Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ask with Anabella Cabello and Dr. Scott Keller. This is our second official program with Ask, and it's our fourth program together. Welcome, Dr. Keller. Once again, how are you today?
Thanks, Annabelle. I'm doing great. Thanks. So nice to be here again with Ask.
Thank you for coming. I know you are very busy, and I really appreciate that you are here with us doing this amazing program together.
It's my pleasure and it's an honor. Thank you.
Well, today we have a special program. Today we decided to do a Q&A session. I encourage our viewers and followers to send us questions, and we're going to answer as many as we can today. And please feel free to call in. If you have any question, you can dial 786-800-6047. So let's start. I have a question from Allison. Allison from Miami. Hi, Allison.
Allison from Miami. Hi, Allison.
Yes. Allison asks, how do we determine our primary dosha in Ayurvedic medicine? Is it simple enough to look to see where we have an imbalance? Before you respond, I just want to say to Allison, please, Allison, go to our YouTube channel. You can type Ask with Anabella Cabello and Dr. Scott Keller. You will see 3 other videos where we discuss about Ayurveda medicine and about the doshas in great length. But thank you so much for sending your question, and can you please answer?
Sure. First of all, Allison, thank you so much for the question. It's a question that we get repeatedly, and it's actually very simple. It's always best to determine your primary dosha energy in Ayurvedic medicine based on a questionnaire that's done by a qualified Ayurvedic specialist. In addition to being a chiropractor and a doctor of natural medicine, I'm also an Ayurvedic specialist. And one of the things that we do, excuse me, is we use a quick questionnaire. It's comprised of 7 simple questions, and then we use an extensive one which utilizes 20 questions for each dosha. Now, as we've gone over in the past, and I think it's probably worthy of our time just to quickly review some of the things that we've discussed in the past about Ayurveda. Ayurvedic medicine is the oldest form of healing that we have on the planet. It dates back in excess of 5,000 years. It actually predates our allopathic medicine probably by about 4,800 years. Our allopathic approach to medicine has always been one of using drugs and medications and surgeries as a way of rectifying whatever symptoms or conditions the body is going through. In Ayurveda, what we try to do is we try to take the body's natural 3 energies, and we're all made up of these 3 energies, these 3 doshas. Those 3 doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Now, each of those energies is characterized by certain traits: physical traits, personality traits, digestive traits, physiological traits. And each one of them is unique, but we are all comprised of all 3 of those doshas. But in most of us, one of them predominates.
Dr. Keller, is it simple enough, Allison asks, to look to see where we have an imbalance?
Right. Well, I think what she's trying to ask is it simple enough to just look at what your primary dosha energy is? Like in my case, I'm largely a Pitta energy. That's the fiery, more reactive, hot digestion, good digestion, type A, overachieving personality. But I'm also those other doshas. Is it simple enough to look at a condition that has that energy that's out of balance? Well, when Pitta is out of balance, we see it a couple of different ways. We have to first determine if the person and the patient is in balance. If they're in balance, they tend to exhibit a nice unified disposition, even digestion, good sleep patterns, good interaction with others. When Pitta is out of balance, we tend to be overreactive, hot-blooded, excessively obsessed about projects, and we can develop skin irritation. So in that case, if somebody was asking about a condition, well, is my pitta dosha energy out of balance because I'm breaking out, I've been very reactive, I'm in a hot climate, Florida's very hot here, I'm seeing a lot of this, then the answer is yes.
But for someone who is not a specialist, is it simple enough just to see that there is an imbalance? Or maybe it's easy for you because you're a specialist to see the person, ask some questions, and you can determine what the imbalance is.
It can be. It absolutely can be.
For the regular person?
For everybody. If we can just get enough information out there about what an imbalance in one of those three doshas, how it represents and how it manifests, then we can say very simply. For instance, we're maybe going to touch on this in a later program, and we've touched on it in the past as well. But when any of the particular doshas is out of balance, there are definite signs. So I'm happy to address those with you. We mentioned one for pitta. When kapha, which, you know, although you're a combination of all three of those doshas, when your kapha energy is out of balance, we typically see with the predominant kapha energy somebody who tends to get lethargic, sleeps excessively, is prone to weight gain, depression, and that is very typical of the kapha energy in Ayurvedic medicine. In vata, we see, which is the primary middle dosha from which the other two came from, they tend to, the vata person tends to be very thin and lean, and they have a scattered understanding of the world. They tend to be a little bit on the ADD side. They tend to also have erratic digestion and forget to eat and lose weight very easily.
Right. Well, I just want to share a quick story for everybody who is watching, and for you, Allison. In my personal family case, when there was an imbalance of kapha, there was depression present. There was definitely an excess fatigue and a lot of sleeping in. When somebody is depressed, they don't want to get out of bed. So after I learned about Ayurveda, everything makes sense. I didn't know at the time about Ayurveda medicine, but absolutely what you're saying, at least in my family experience, we have witnessed that when there was a kapha imbalance in some of the family members, there was depression, there was excess fatigue, they were lethargic, lack of motivation, and poor diet.
Yep, those things all lead to an even greater kapha imbalance. And I think later on, and in the past shows, we've talked about ways that we can get out of that and what things we can do to rectify that imbalance.
Right, and I want to make a comment, because what do we do in those cases when we're feeling like I just described? We go to the doctor, the regular doctor, and we are prescribed drugs.
Of course, because you're depressed, so you need to take an antidepressant, which then in turn suppresses your body's own natural ability to make serotonin, which is where all happiness comes from as far as the happy hormone. And down the road, you find it harder and harder to produce your own serotonin, when in fact you should be working on, I don't like to put one form of healing over another, but if you're searching for a way to address this naturally without what will eventually become what is expected to be an addiction to these behavioral modification drugs, you do it naturally by balancing your body's own energies.
Well, you know, as a holistic coach, I believe healing comes from within.
Sure.
So it's about healing from the inside out, and taking a pill is a shortcut from really what's going on internally. And I agree with you. I'm not saying that one approach is better than the other one. It's just that if somebody wants to go the natural way and the holistic way, there are ways to manage these symptoms.
Absolutely.
Our second question is from Monique. Hi, Monique. Monique
Hi,
from
Monique.
Texas asks, I've been diagnosed with hypothyroidism.
Yep, hypothyroidism.
Hypothyroidism. Is my problem due to an imbalance of one of the doshas?
That is an amazing question, and it's a great segue from what we just discussed. Hypothyroidism has to do with the sluggish activity of a gland called the thyroid, which sits in our neck, and it's considered the mother of all endocrine glands because it's involved with generating and giving the body its metabolic rate, which allows us to understand and to experience our natural sleep cycles, relaxation cycles, energetic activation cycles. It's also greatly involved with weight gain. Now, hypothyroid, as opposed to hyperthyroid, where the thyroid is functioning too quickly, hypothyroid is where the thyroid gland is functioning in a sluggish way. These people typically present to my office as being cold, intolerant to wind. They find themselves having some hair loss. They find themselves experiencing fatigue later in the day, and also unexpected weight gain or gain of weight that's not consistent with the amount of food and calories that they're taking in. Now, what do we do with these patients? Well, from an Ayurvedic standpoint, we know that hypothyroid, which tends to really proliferate among females after age 35. In fact, I would say probably 80% of the women who are over 38 in my practice for the last 26 years of doing this are typically starting the hypothyroid process, which we know Ayurvedically has to do with an imbalance in kapha energy again. The kapha sluggishness, relaxed. Look, kapha, every dosha has wonderful traits about it. Kapha people are relaxed, they're composed, they're everybody's best friend. They are great at meditation. They make everybody feel warm and cared for. They're paced and they're elegant. When kapha is imbalanced, you have to look at certain endocrine glands that can get sluggish. When the thyroid gets sluggish, it slows down the functioning of all digestive glands and enzymatic activities. What we do with these people is we do things that tend to spark the thyroid, like use of etomidine, which is an extract of iodine, which tends to be something that becomes reduced with the thyroid becoming sluggish. It is definitely a reduction in pitta energy.
I was going to say that was my next question to you, was that do we need to increase
Pitta.
pitta?
We definitely would do great, and that's what I do with a lot of my patients. We work on thermogenic foods, which they accelerate the system. They help them drop a little bit of weight. The hair comes back. We also use some herbs that are designed to thermogenically accelerate the body systems.
Therefore, Monique, yes, it is due to an imbalance, and I encourage you to call us, to call Dr. Keller, make a consultation, and let's help you out. We can definitely help you with that. Now,
Absolutely.
I would like to ask you, Dr. Keller, can someone have those same symptoms of hair loss and weight gain and not being diagnosed with a problem in the thyroid?
Yes, you can. And in fact, even though each of the other doshas is characterized, like in the case of pitta, which is the body frame tends to be a little bit more wider and more muscular than the typical vata body type, and the kapha type is even wider and more thick and grounded. We all experience imbalance in certain areas of our body or in our psyche, and just because somebody has a vata frame doesn't mean they don't have a powerful like pitta digestion, which is based on the internal fire. So I've seen that a lot too. So there's definite areas of the body and the personality and person's spirituality where they experience the energy differently among the doshas.
Okay, great. So for those of us watching us, because they are experiencing some type of hair loss or weight gain, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is a problem with the
a lot of it
thyroid.
can be genetic. A lot of it could be thyroid. A lot of it we've noticed could be exposure to radiation, exposure to toxins. We've seen it with heavy metal poisoning. But the interesting thing here is that ultimately, to the Vedic approach, even if the origination of the disorder of the hair loss came from an outside toxic source, the Ayurvedic balance will ultimately get knocked out of balance.
Thank you. I'm just thinking, what about those people that have, when they have a hair loss and then the hair doesn't grow back? And I'm not necessarily talking about somebody who's bald.
Right.
I'm talking
Be just
about
thinning.
even, yes, very thin hair females who have had a maybe due to stress,
Definitely.
significant hair loss, and then the hair doesn't grow back. Is that a is there a problem with the thyroid?
Well, you know what? It's a great question, and it's a very involved, detailed answer. And nothing is as simple and black and white as we would hope it would appear. You know, I treat a lot of people who have a post-traumatic stress-related hair loss, and that typically comes down to a vata imbalance. And in those cases, we look at ways to calm the central nervous system. We use B complex and coconut oil as ways to remyelinate the nerves, the natural protective sheath around the nerves and around the brain. You know, it's again, nothing is just as simple. As a chiropractor, I've looked at ways to just heal many people and help them on their regeneration process just by taking the pressure off the central nervous system through chiropractic. Many years ago, I realized that it wasn't thorough enough, so I incorporated natural medical options, and Ayurveda was the best one. And I'm proud to say, as a chiropractor, I developed my own form of Ayurvedic chiropractic, which not only allows me to address the patient Ayurvedically and naturally with those energies, but it also allows me to address how I treat them through a chiropractic approach. So there's a lot of answers to that question, and it could be so many things, and proper diagnosis by a specialist is the best. But I can give you many different ways that it's come about, and a lot of it from what you're describing, people who are in their late 30s go through a divorce or the loss of something really traumatic like a child or moving. These things cause the central nervous system to go into a state of shock, and they shunt blood and energy away from natural involuntary organs like hair follicles.
Right. I just want to take the opportunity to remind those of you who send the questions that please remember these are general answers. We're all unique, and it's very important to be assessed, to have an assessment test in order to get to the root of the problem. But we are very grateful and blessed that you sent your questions, and we're going to answer as we're doing in the best of our abilities. The third question.
Oh, another question.
Yes. Oh, we have plenty of questions. I don't know how many of these questions we're going to be able to
well, it
answer.
is our fourth show after all, so I imagine we've generated a little bit of interest in this area.
Yes, thank you. Some people are a little bit shy about calling in, and they decided to send the question by email, and we truly appreciate it. Remember, if you're watching now, if you're connected, we are live. Please call us at 786-800-6047. I remind you once again to subscribe for our YouTube channel, Ask with Anabella Cabello and Dr. Scott Keller. The third question is from Hector from Venezuela.
Oh,
and
Venezuela.
Thank you, Hector. Yes.
He's a fellow country person.
Yes, I'm really happy to answer this question, Hector. Hector asks, do relationships affect our balance? And is a relationship with another person of the same dosha recommended? Very, very interesting.
This is one of my favorite subjects. Yes, you know, in the analysis of Ayurvedic medicine, everything is touched on, including birth dates, including conditioning from early childhood, and relationships tend to be one of the most powerful factors in creating balance or imbalance in Ayurveda. I myself have had a great deal of experience with this, and I've used my relationships in the past to determine what was healthy based on its Ayurvedic balance or imbalance. Now, I was watching a lecture not too long ago where a woman was talking about two Vata people who were together, and I loved this analogy. In order to appreciate this comparison, you have to know the Vata personality, as we stated earlier, is typically that Vata person is physically the really narrow, thin, lean type who has difficulty gaining weight. Well, these people personally tend to have a little bit of a scattered ADD type of approach intellectually. they don't learn quickly, and when they do learn quickly, they actually forget quickly. And so they need some balance. Well, putting two of these people together is not necessarily the best thing, because then you've got two people who can be very scattered. Well, the true Vata personality is looking for a more Pitta energy or a more Kapha energy, which can tend to be much more focused. In the Pitta person, we are very organized, we are very articulate and deliberate with the way we speak and the way we present and attack and approach information. The Vata personality can tend not to be that way. In the Pitta personality, which can tend to become a little obsessed with details and perfection, the looseness of Kapha or Vata can tend to help loosen the stress that could build up and the internal heat that can build up from Pitta. In the Kapha person, and this is the best example of all, the way I see it, having spent many years with a Kapha person in a partnership, I realized the Kapha, when they're out of balance, they're very slow. They're difficult to get up in the morning. They would probably spend the day in bed or watching television or reading if they could and never go outside. Well, this is not necessarily the healthiest thing for a Kapha person. Kapha is looking to be active because inflammation can build up when they do too much resting, too much sleeping. They shouldn't sleep in excess of 8 hours. I've watched Kapha people who sleep 10 hours and justify it by saying, well, more sleep is better. But you spend, after they sleep for 10 hours, they spend the next day or two resting without moving. However, when that same Kapha sleeps 7 hours, they tend to get more energetic. Now, if you put two of those people together, not saying that they shouldn't be together or they can't work in a way that makes them productive. It just means that through awareness and education, they have to be aware of ways to generate movement and activity with them.
Okay. All right, Hector.
Hector, I'm sorry. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Dr. Keller. So, Hector, if you're Kapha, I am Kapha.
Go with a Pitta.
If you're Kapha and you like to sleep, and then your partner is Kapha and likes to sleep, I guess you're gonna spend your
Get a
day
divorce.
sleeping.
Get a
No,
divorce.
I wouldn't say that. But you were talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm Kapha, and I do like to sleep, but I'm also very active.
That's because your Ayurvedic type is predominantly
because
Kapha.
I'm in balance,
You're
not out of balance.
Definitely. Through the work that we have done together, and I mean through your own coaching and your own awareness and what we've done in my office, you've become what we would very frequently refer to as tridoshic, meaning you have almost even energy among the three. Now, at any given time, based on what's happening in your environment or stress or non-stress, you could fall into what is traditionally would have been your primary dosha, which would have been Kapha. By the way, Kapha loves Pitta. Because Kapha
are you so sure?
and Pitta loves Kapha.
Okay, I like that better.
And Pitta also loves Vata as well. I think the key here is acknowledgement and awareness of what is out of balance, and that comes through educating yourself on which of those energies you're reflecting at that particular time.
Right. So while you were talking, I was thinking about astrology.
Sure.
Because each dosha represents one or two elements, correct?
Right. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to give myself a plug and to give you a plug. At my center here in Fort Lauderdale, where I work at Flow Life Holistic Lounge, on Thursdays I do astrological readings. And the astrological readings, astrology is one of those sciences that kind of tends to follow and parallel what was left to us informationally by the Vedics through Ayurvedic medicine and through Vedic philosophy.
The reason I ask about astrology, because when you were describing a Kapha person who likes to sleep and who maybe after 10 hours of sleeping the next 2 days continue to stay in bed.
Tends to produce more homeopathic energy.
Right, but doesn't that really also reflect the personality or maybe the sun sign of the person?
I've seen a tremendous connection here. First of all, astrologically, and maybe we're going to save this for another show, but astrologically, we are not simply our sun sign. You are born under the sun sign of Libra, but you have a moon and a rising sign that also greatly affects your personality. And so you are not just simply that Libran sun. But I have noticed if you were able to isolate just that one energy, many people who have the same signs in all three of their rising, their moon, and their sun tend to really be that sun sign. And then in that cases like that, I've noticed those sun signs produce a very specific Ayurvedic energy. Taurus, for
Right.
example, tends to be
Right.
very slow moving.
Right, I was thinking about that because that's my rising.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, somebody who is Capricorn or Capricorn rising, probably they don't have a caffeine imbalance.
I have a Capricorn rising and I have a Sagittarian moon. Now, in that triad of your sun, moon, and rising, which many people reflects about 65 to 70% of who you are astrologically, that produces a lot of fire in me.
Right.
Because not only is my moon sign, my emotional planet, a fire sign, but Capricorn rising is an earth sign that is very generated towards actions and getting things
So
done.
therefore, it makes sense that your predominant dosha is Pitta.
Like I said, I want to save this for one of our
Yes,
next shows because
yes, I'm
this is an
sorry.
entire show that could
Yes.
go on for a long time.
But it's so interesting.
I
Yeah,
understand we have more
yeah,
questions, and
we
we should
do,
really
please.
we should
Yes, we
switch up
should,
here and let's take a little.
absolutely.
I'm gonna grab my glasses for a second. So Sammy from New York, and this is a question that I think we want to direct towards you. Sammy from New York asks, I want to start my own business, but I feel stuck. Every day I say to myself, today is the day to do something different. However, I cannot get myself to take action. Can you please help me? First of all, Sammy, thank you for submitting this question to us and watching our show. We're very appreciative, and we want to address everybody's questions. In regard to what Sammy's talking about here, do you have any feelings of being that you're the
Yeah.
expert in much of this?
Yes, Sammy, well, first of all, thank you. There could be different reasons why you feel stuck and you are not taking action. But generally speaking, when we don't take action, we have to see what's going on at a subconscious level, because consciously we want to do something, and in Sammy's case, she wants to start a business and she wants to take action, but she doesn't. Subconscious mind is the one who makes the decision. It's the one that it's responsible for more than 90% of our actions. So what is going on in the subconscious level? And from my experience, what I've seen when people are stuck and are not taking action, what it's underneath is usually fear.
I was going to ask you, it sounds like it's a
Right.
base of
So
fear.
therefore, why is there fear? What's causing the fear? And as you explained in the previous, when you were answering the previous question, this is a general answer. We would have to see each unique case. In the
Sure.
case of Sammy, it could be a past trauma from her childhood.
That's what I was going to ask you.
In the case of somebody else, it could be a recent trauma, maybe from a divorce. So every case is differently, but definitely there is an emotional blockage there, and there is an emotional issue that needs to be addressed. Please, Sammy, I encourage you and invite you to contact me. I offer free consultations. You can reach out to me through my through Facebook or Instagram, Anabella Life Coach. Also, you can send me a message through my website, www.anabellacabello.com. Feel free to contact me, and I will address this with you directly.
I think it's important for us. We get so caught up in the information that we have to remember to offer our listeners, our viewers rather, the opportunity to contact us, and we're happy to give initial information. In Annabella's case, she's going to do a free initial consultation.
Yes, absolutely.
I will do the same thing, just so that we can be in service to the local community, and we really
Yes.
appreciate your support, so we want to give back. So we have a final question here.
Yes, because unfortunately the time is up very soon, but thank you
Okay.
so much. Those questions that were not answered, we will answer them, or I have your email addresses, so we will send you an answer by email.
That's great. The last question is from Carolyn from Chicago. Thank you, Carolyn, for
Thank
your
you.
question. Carolyn says that she's been overweight for many years, and every Monday she starts a new diet. By the end of the week, she says, I'm starving and I end up eating everything. I couldn't eat during the week. What can I do to lose weight, and how can you help me? And I'm going to defer to you on this question, because I think this sounds like something that's really stemming from something emotional more than anything else.
Absolutely. Carolyn, thank you for your courage and vulnerability to write to us.
Truly.
And this is a cycle that is very difficult to break. This cycle of restricting and binging, binging. You are not alone. There's nothing, it's not your fault. You are not broken. So let's start from there. It's not your fault. Most likely it is not lack of willpower. What I've seen is that these people that are caught in this vicious cycle of restricted and binging are have a very strong willpower, but they lose control over food because they have restricted for so long or for so many days. Number one, their cells are starving, and then they try to make up for those days that they didn't eat.
Sure.
And what do they go for? They go for comfort food.
It's a vicious cycle, and they're running
It
on
is
it.
a
They're running on a big wheel.
It is a vicious cycle, and what is underneath of that, again, is emotional. It is a need, or more than one need, that is not being satisfied. And the root of all of this, if we keep digging down, is lack of self-love. And this is something that I see very frequently. This is one of my specialties. I'm an eating disorder recovery coach, and please do not hesitate to contact me. You're going to gain more from this free consultation that you would believe or imagine right now. So take advantage of that. Let's get on the phone, let's chat, and let's see how I can better help you.
Excellent. I want to thank you so much for having this time together, and also I want to remind people, I've been referring my patients to Anabella, and everybody has nothing but rave reviews about you, and two in particular that I think have said that they're doing remarkably well. So I want to thank you for that.
No, and thank you so much for the referrals, and how are the people that I have referred you to doing?
They're doing great. I mean, you can talk to your family members and see how they're doing.
Well, they talk to you more than they talk to me.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I'm getting from. That's what I'm understanding.
Well,
Anyway.
thank you so much. I think we're at the end of the program.
I think so.
And remember, you can contact us. How can they contact you, Dr. Keller? One more
Please
time.
call Flow Life Holistic Lounge. We are at info@flowlifenyc.org. That's the website. The phone number is 631-375-8702. Once again, that's 631-375-8702. And you can get me directly on my email address. It's Dr. S. Keller at AOL.com. And they have to get a hold of you, too.
Yes. They have, you already know, Anabella Life Coach in Facebook and Instagram. My phone number has been everywhere, 786-800-6047. And we will see you very soon.
And next time we're going to bring Ayurvedic and astrology together.
Yes, that was a great, something came up naturally while we were answering the questions. So that's going to be very interesting. Okay, I love you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching us. And we hope to hear from you soon. Bye.